Picture this: your teenage daughter, cornered at a farmer's market, 6 strangers circling her, pointing fingers, calling her a sinner, all because she refused to play happy family with her dead father's secret kids. That was the day I realized my ex-mother-in-law had gone too far. But what she didn't know was that I had a plan to expose her in front of her entire church. If you've ever been lied about, underestimated, or blamed for something you didn't do, you're going to love this story. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and get comfortable. Because today, revenge doesn't just happen, it sings. My name's Claire. I'm 46, single mom of 2 teenage daughters, mine is 17 and 15. And if you've ever thought your family drama was messy, mine takes the cake. My husband died last year suddenly. Tragic, yes, but not simple. Because when he died, he left behind 2 little boys born from his affair. The mistress also died in the accident, which meant those children were orphaned. And his parents, they swooped in like vultures. They wanted custody of my daughters. They wanted to move into my house. They wanted everything. And when I refused, they declared war. One Saturday, I took my daughters to the local farmer's market. Fresh produce, baked goods. It was supposed to be a happy day on my youngest's birthday. I gave her money, told her to go wild, chocolate, candy, whatever she wanted. An hour passed. Then my phone rang. Her voice was trembling. Mom, these women, they won't let me leave my oldest at my side. And what I saw, my birthday girl, cornered by 6 older women, their faces twisted in judgment. You're unchristian for rejecting your grandparents. Be a good big sister to your poor orphaned brothers. Don't be heartless like your mother. Can you imagine your own daughter, already traumatized by her father's betrayal, being screamed at in public? I shoved myself between them and my child, sent my oldest to grab her sister's things. One woman sneered at me. A good Christian wife obeys her in-laws. Pause. Sarcastic laugh, really? A good wife. To a man who cheated in our living room. The argument got so loud, security asked us all to leave. We drove home. My daughter's silent, shaken, and me. I was burning inside. That night, I reached out to a friend in their church, and he told me everything. Turns out, my ex-mother-in-law had written this tragic sob story in the church's Facebook group. She claimed I left her and her husband homeless, penniless. She said my daughters refused to talk to them. She even blamed us for why the orphan boys were living with other relatives. But the biggest lie, she told the church the mistress wasn't really a mistress. She was a surrogate. For me, and that I rejected the babies because they were boys, accusing a mother of rejecting children that weren't even hers. No, this wasn't just gossip anymore. This was war. Lucky for me, I had all the ammunition I needed. When my husband died, we were in the middle of divorce, which meant I still had everything. Photos of him kissing his mistress in our house, texts between them, emails where his parents admitted knowing, even messages where they bullied my daughters. 2 days after their dad died, they told my girls it was their fault because they exposed his affair. So I thought, if my ex-mill wants to use the church, then I'll let the truth preach itself. The next day, I walked into a print shop, paid extra for glossy, high-quality copies, and then I spent hours at my kitchen table crafting binders. They looked exactly like the church's hymn booklets, but inside, receipts. Every last one, the cover photo, my ex and his mistress kissing in my living room, faces clear as day. Title underneath. Ex-husband's name and mistress's name, love story. Sunday morning, I slipped them onto the back desk, right next to the hymnals, and I walked away. By that evening, the gossip mill exploded. The church's Facebook group lit up like wildfire. People were furious, not just at my cheating husband, but at my ex-in-laws. The insults got so bad. The pastor had to step in just to remind people to keep it family-friendly. And my ex shunned, whispered about, avoided. Within weeks, she stopped showing up to services altogether. Meanwhile, my daughters, they got apology letters, even an invitation for us to join the church ourselves. As if I'd ever sit through one of their sermons for months. My ex-mill painted herself as the victim, a poor, abandoned old woman. But the truth tore that mask right off. She wasn't a victim. She was an enabler, a manipulator, a liar. And now she's been shunned by the very community she weaponized against me. Justice wasn't just served. It was bound, laminated, and delivered straight into the pews. This story taught me something important. Liars can scream the loudest, but the truth, it doesn't whisper forever when it finally comes out. It's louder than any sermon. If that revenge left you smiling, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where justice isn't just served. It's crafted. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Because sometimes karma just needs a little help.
The second story begins here. Stick around.
Have you ever had someone try to pull rank on you, abuse their power, and nearly ruin your career, only for fate to give you the sweetest chance for revenge later? Well, that's exactly what happened to my dad when he was in the Marine Corps. Back in the 1980s, it started with something as simple as a late-night drive across base, and ended with a cocky young military police officer, a lance corporal, crying on a shooting range after my dad delivered him the most humiliating lesson of his life. Stick around, because this isn't just a story about revenge. It's about pride, power, respect, and what happens when arrogance collides with karma. But before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. You won't want to miss the way this story turns out. My dad, back in the 80s, was a Marine tough, disciplined, and respected. He wasn't the kind of man to pick fights or abuse authority. Actually, he was one of the most fair and patient people you'd ever meet. At the time, he was working as a shooting range coach. That meant he had an enormous responsibility, making sure Marines passed their annual shooting qualifications, while also enforcing strict safety. If you've ever been around Marines, you know this qualification isn't optional. You pass or you face serious consequences. Careers could stall, reputations could shatter, and sometimes disciplinary action followed. Now, let's fast forward to one quiet night on base. My dad was driving, minding his own business, when a white truck suddenly pulled up behind him. The headlights flicked on bright, blinding, and suddenly, all three of my dad's mirrors were filled with nothing but searing white light. Imagine that. Middle of the night. Alone on the road. And suddenly, you can't even see what's ahead of you because someone's practically shoving their truck into your back seat, he told me. For 5 minutes, I couldn't even see his grill. Now, my dad was no reckless driver. He wasn't the type to stomp on the gas and try to lose someone. Instead, he thought, okay, maybe I can just ease up a little, create some space, and this guy will back off. So he pressed the gas just a bit, barely a few miles per hour over the limit. But guess what? The truck matched him. So he tried again. Just a little faster, just enough to put some breathing room between them, and again the truck stayed glued to him. Tailgating with those blinding lights drilling into his eyes, what would you do? Would you slam on the brakes? Pull off the road? Or keep pushing forward, praying this jerk gave up? For my dad, there wasn't much of a choice. He had to keep moving. But just when he thought the nightmare couldn't get worse, red and blue lights exploded behind him. The truck wasn't just some late-night prankster. It was a military police vehicle. Now here's the kicker. The MP who stepped out was a lance corporal. Not a sergeant. Not a lieutenant. A lance corporal, a lower enlisted rank with just a sliver of authority. But authority, no matter how small, can make the wrong kind of person dangerous. This guy strutted up to my dad's car, full of attitude. He wanted one thing: to write my dad a speeding ticket. And in the military, that's not just a slip of paper. A speeding ticket could lead to disciplinary action, a record, consequences that followed you far beyond one bad night. But fate had something else in store. The lance corporal called for backup. And soon another MP pulled up, this time a corporal. Outranking the lance. My dad explained calmly what happened, how he was blinded, how he barely nudged his speed just to avoid crashing, how this wasn't reckless driving at all but basic survival. The corporal listened, nodded, and said plainly, "No ticket." But the lance corporal wasn't having it. He argued, red in the face, practically shouting at his superior. He wanted that ticket. He wanted to nail my dad to the wall, and in that moment my dad realized something. This wasn't about justice. This wasn't about rules. This was about ego. Fast forward a few months. My dad is back at work, doing what he does best, coaching Marines on the shooting range. He's walking the line, checking safety, making sure every Marine knows what they're doing, and then he sees him, Guess who's there, rifle in hand, ready for his yearly qualification? That same cocky Lance Corporal, the MP who tried to take him down over a bogus speeding ticket. It was like karma had delivered him on a silver platter. So my dad walked up to another coach, leaned in and said quietly, "Let's switch. I want to coach this one." The other coach gave him a curious look, but shrugged and agreed, and just like that, my dad was now standing face to face with his old enemy. At first, the Lance Corporal didn't recognize him. But then my dad leaned down, his voice low, and asked, "Do you remember me?" The color drained from the young MP's face. His head dropped. His answer was quiet. "Yes," my dad didn't miss a beat. "You've got one chance. One mistake, just one tiny mistake, and you're done." Can you imagine the pressure? Hours of shooting qualification, every Marine trying to stay calm, stay steady, prove themselves. And this guy has my dad's eyes boring into him the whole time. And for a while, he did fine. Shot straight. Stayed safe. But in the Marines, qualification isn't just about hitting targets. It's about discipline, safety, procedure. At the very end, every Marine had to clear their weapon. Open chamber, show it was empty, and wait for the coach's inspection. The Lance Corporal opened his weapon, showed it then without waiting for approval. He slammed the chamber closed and walked off. That was it. The fatal mistake. My dad's voice cut through the range. "That's the safety violation I needed. Get the fuck off my range." The Lance Corporal froze. Then panic set in. "No. This is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit," he cried, but there was no mercy. No arguments left. He was done. A Marine Corps MP armed daily, meant to enforce the law, failed his qualification because he couldn't follow the most basic safety rule. Now, my dad didn't stick around to watch what happened afterward. But based on my own time in the Corps, I can tell you this. Failing a shooting qualification like that, it doesn't end quietly. That Lance Corporal's career took a serious hit. His reputation? Shattered. In the lesson? Crystal clear. You can abuse power for a while. You can push people around. You can let your ego drive you to bad decisions. But sooner or later, karma will circle back, and it won't be gentle. My dad isn't a spiteful man. He doesn't go around looking for revenge. But in that moment, standing on the range, he gave that Lance Corporal exactly what he deserved, a taste of his own medicine. And honestly, maybe it was the only way that kid was ever going to learn. So let me ask you, what do you think? Did my dad go too far by throwing him off the range? Or did the Lance Corporal earn every bit of it? Personally, I think it was the perfect revenge. A clean, fair punishment delivered in the most poetic way possible, but I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you click away, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who loves a good dose of karma, because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or violent, it's quiet, simple, and devastatingly effective.